What is going on, guys? Welcome back to Swish Life Garage. I'm back with it on my 95 Civic here, and today I'm going to be working on my brakes. If you guys had seen the videos when I was trying to get this thing on the road, I did do a brake flush. Not a 100% true brake flush, but I did change out the fluid. But after driving this car quite a bit, the fluid had still been mixing up, I'm guessing with some of the old fluid that was in the brake lines, and the fluid really doesn't look all too good. Also, the brake pedal doesn't feel 100%. Whenever I start braking hard, I start to notice that this front left tire starts to lock up way before these other tires start to lock up. So I kind of think maybe I have dirt in the system, dirt in the brake proportion valve. So I'm really going to be taking things apart, cleaning out the lines. If the problem still persists, then more than likely I'm going to have a problem with my brake hydraulics. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Let me pop open the hood and show you what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to start with the brake master cylinder, take out all the fluid that I can, then disconnect it and take it completely out. Clean this up by itself, clean the inside where the fluid runs through and make sure there's no dirt in here. As well, I'm going to follow the lines here, and here is your brake bias. I'm going to be taking out the lines that I can here, just the short little lines that connect there. Clean those out. Clean this out. You kind of can't fully see it because this alarm horn or this alarm siren is right here. This came with the car. I'm going to be taking it off. I would never put the alarm horn or speaker right here, right wide in the open in the engine bay. To me, it kind of looks tacky. But anyways, I'm going to be taking that on out and cleaning out the brake bias. And I think that's all the lines that I'll be able to take out without causing like a big issue or taking out other parts. But I am going to be taking the wheels off individually, running some brake clean in there and get an air compressor and really blow out those lines to get all the fluid and water out of the system. Let's get started and take out this fluid and the master cylinder. See the brake fluid just looking like some Yoo-Hoo chocolate milk, man. Taking off these 12s, these two 12s that hold on the master cylinder to the booster. One right there, another right there, and don't forget the washer. Already loosen up the lines using the line wrench. Make sure you use that or you will strip the nuts. If you look inside of the reservoir, if you guys seen in the other video, I cleaned out the reservoir. See all that dirt? So one time back in the day when I had my Del Sol, I was using my black Del Sol. I went to go get an alarm put on. I didn't want to do it myself just because I wanted to just kind of chill, relax, right? It was the worst experience that I had. It's because they drilled into my cluster or the panel, the cluster panel, and then they drilled into my firewall just like this, and the wires were just pretty much obvious that it was an alarm right there, or it was for the alarm. And so I think at that time I paid like 300 bucks, and I mean the alarm worked, but the install was just sloppy. You'll get stuff just like this. They'll be finished and then you see that they drilled into your panels. They don't have the right screws, some missing screws and stuff, and it's just annoying. So that's why I do everything myself, honestly. The times throughout life that I've used someone else just kind of taught me that if you want it done right, just go ahead and do it yourself. I gotta take the brake proportion valve off. These two lines are going to come completely out, and they're connected, this one and this one. So the two most outer ones from the firewall are going to be the ones that come out completely. And the other lines as well, I am going to disconnect them, but they're not going to move out of place. They're just going to stay there while I get the brake proportion valve out. It is held on with some 10 mil nuts. It looks like just two, and then you'll be able to get the brake proportion valve out. So let me get to it. Got the brake proportion valve out. Before you start taking off the lines, you do want to loosen up the plastic clips that is used to hold everything together. Sometimes those clips, whenever they're attached to the firewall with the bundle, they start to put pressure in a certain way, and so you're trying to remove it, and that line is just, let's just say it's like that. Instead of going straight in and out, it's kind of like pointing up, and it makes it hard to turn those lines. And so make sure to undo those clips first if you're doing this job. Once everything was loosened up, I did loosen up this nut as well, and that's because it's tied to this bracket that holds in the line for the front brake, and I was able to slide it in and out and then take the proportion valve out. This is held on to the firewall by 3 10mm nuts. There's 2 right there, which I had shown you, but then there is another one down below on the bottom. So make sure you get that out before you start pulling up on it. Got all these parts cleaned up. Honestly, I think my blockage was coming from the master cylinder. There was tons of dirt coming out of there. I don't know how long I spent, probably about 45 minutes to an hour just cleaning that. You can see all the dirt has been taken out as much as I could. I did find a filter off of my parts Del Sol, so I'm going to use that filter. I didn't have it in there previously. Try to collect some of that dirt if there's more that goes down there. Proportion valve and the lines, that was pretty easy. Didn't really find too much dirt in there. Now I could start actually working on the car. I think I'm going to do the front brakes first. I'm going to go through each wheel individually, lift up the driver's side first, and take off the brake line off of the caliper. And my driver's side is going to be this line right here, so spray some brake cleaner in there and use compressed air to really try to clean it on out. The same thing with the brake caliper. I'm going to take off the brake line. It's going to be a 14. Now I'm going to take off that bleed valve. I got a water bottle and I cut a slit with a razor blade in there. That's so I could put in the brake line. I'm going to go ahead and spray the other end with some brake clean. I'm going to use compressed air with the air compressor, and I don't want it spraying everywhere, so that's why I put the water bottle. My bad, I thought I was recording honestly, but I blew out the brake line here. There was a little bit of trash that came out, of course some brake fluid, but the main thing where the most trash came out of was the calipers. I sprayed brake clean on in there, and then I went with the rag and just to catch, you know, so it won't all fly back there. But you can see how it looks. Just a whole bunch of trash, dirt, rust or something in there. But at least it's cleaner than it was before. So now I'm going to go ahead and do the passenger side, but make sure I turn on the camera. I got to just real quick put the brake back together here. Of course, put the bleed valve back on here. And then you got to make sure you have the washer on the banjo bolt. Put it in through the brake line and put in the other washer here. And then put it on the caliper. Tighten up the bleed valve. Put the rubber cap back on. And tighten up the brake line. So I'm going to blow out the line. I'm going to again put this in here in the water bottle. So let's see how dirty this caliper comes out. I got a clean towel right here. See how dirty that came out? Let's try that again. I'm going to use a clean side. Well, none of them really clean. Now I'm on the passenger rear, and for this one, since these are drums, I'm just going to take out the bleed valve. It should just be a 8 mil. Take off the rubber cap. I'm going to put this rag right behind here, and because I'm going to blow the line out and I don't want it going everywhere. So went on all four corners, made sure all the brake lines are clear of any fluid, any water. The rear did have a tiny bit of water. I saw like some milky substance coming out. That is going to be water. All I got to do now is put back in the brake lines, the brake master cylinder, and the prop valve, and then we'll get on to bleeding the whole system. And got the prop valve with the brake lines, brake master cylinder, reservoir, grab that filter from the Del Sol, and as well I did swap out the cap since that original cap that it had was really stained orange. And of course I did get rid of that siren that was there for the alarm that the car has, and just makes it a lot cleaner in here and cleaned up here on the back side. Now I'm going to start bleeding the brakes at each corner. I'm going to start with the wheel furthest from the brake master cylinder, so it's going to be the rear passenger, then the rear driver, then I'm going to come to the passenger front, and then the driver front. I had bled the brakes, but my pedal is still kind of feeling spongy and soft. It was a little bit better, but if I brake really hard, still I'm getting the brake locking up on this side on the driver front. So I do have another brake master cylinder. That's why I think the issue is basically fluid is getting past the plunger and not fully applying all the other brakes, and since the front driver one is closest, that's why it's locking up. That's my thought as of now, but I do have another brake master cylinder from my parts Del Sol. The master cylinder is just slightly different in size and bore size. This one is a 13/16, and the one on this Civic is a 7/8. So it's just going to be slightly more brake pedal effort for braking. So without having to spend any extra cash, I'll swap this one on out. And honestly, whenever parting out a car, you're probably never going to sell this. Most people just buy a new one. They're like 25, 30 bucks, something like that. So let me change it on out real quick and I'll get back to bleeding brakes. The other brake master cylinder, when I was messing with it, whenever I was cleaning it, and you give this rod a push, the rod wasn't going back, and honestly I kind of thought that was weird, but I don't mess with these too often. But anyways, real quickly got that out, so real quickly put this one on in. Installed the master cylinder and bled all the brakes how I sequenced. After doing that, the brakes feel 100% better. They are where they should be at, back to normal. And I just used the vacuum pump this time around First time around, since the system is completely empty, it might be a little hard to start to get fluid in the system. So what I would recommend is, if you could get one of the lines from the rear, open up the bleed valve, go inside the car and just start pumping up the car and wait till it starts shooting out fluid, and then you shouldn't really have an issue using the vacuum pump. Or if you're using someone inside of the car, do the same thing and then just have them pump the brakes, hold it, and do the same thing over and over until that you feel that there's no more air in the system. Now I ain't gonna lie, this job kind of took quite a bit of time, taking everything apart, really cleaning stuff out. If I didn't have to clean the other master cylinder, then that would have saved me a ton of time, because I probably spent about an hour just cleaning that other one. This one here from the Del Sol, just gave it a quick little scrub down, wipe down, and I was completely done with it. Either way, this really had to be done because of how dirty the brake fluid was, and there was still a tiny bit of water in the system. I really wanted to clear out my head with any possibilities of the brake fluid, any blockages, or any water in the system. So now I have 100% clean brake fluid, a working master cylinder, and I'm good to go with the brakes. Really, when I was driving it with the brakes like that, honestly, I wouldn't even recommend for anyone else to be driving it, because you're more than likely going to wreck into someone. But I really hope this video helped you guys. If you're having the same issue, or if you're wanting to do the same thing to your brake system because you feel like there's blockages or water in your brake lines, and really clear it on out, comment down below with any questions you might have. That is going to be it for this video on working on the brakes. Go ahead, check out my channel and consider subscribing. I have a ton of other videos on there that you can check out and learn from. And as always, there is a link to my eBay and Etsy if you guys want to make a purchase there and just support the channel anyway. You definitely could do it through there. Check out some of the other videos. Consider giving them a comment or a thumbs up. As for this video, this is going to be it. I'll catch you on the next one, player.